So why are Leica lenses so expensive? One of the reasons why I fell in love with Leica about 10 years ago was actually these more vintage lenses. Specifically today I'm talking about the 35mm Summicron R mount. This is the V2, I believe. This is a German-made lens from the late 80s, early 90s, I believe. And I purchased this lens locally off of Craigslist, many moons ago before they got so crazy. So take that with a grain of salt. These lenses definitely cost a lot more nowadays, but I think this lens speaks to a big reason why a lot of people love Leica. Of course, the build quality is one of the major features or reasons why these lenses are so expensive. I got to actually go to Wetzlar earlier this year and experience for myself going through the factory. And you get to see these machines that are precision, CNC machines that are grinding out all the metal, getting to feel the lenses as they're being made and coming off the line, and how each lens is fit to its mated other part. Even without lubrication, the tolerances are microns small, and it feels like a perfectly smooth action. And that's how you can have a lens that's 50 years old and still function like it did when it left the factory. And of course, these things need, servicing from time to time. It's like anything mechanical. Today I have it on the SL2S. What I really like about this particular setup is I got to use this combination with me in Japan, in Kyoto. And, for me, having a ND filter on the front, it's cumbersome. You gotta put it on, take it off, you get scratches and whatnot. But I came across this adapter that allows me to actually have a built-in variable ND in the adapter. So it's almost like a cinema camera where you have a variable ND filter built in, and you have a clickless aperture ring, and it just looks like a full package without having anything additional. So I loved this camera for my trip. It was, robust. I was really happy to be able to play with the log files. They're very easy to grade. There's a look to these files that, is the Leica look. And it's, the fact that when you pull up this camera, you can choose what lenses you want to pair it with, because it's Leica being Leica. It knows what lenses they made, and so in this list of lens profiles you can pick the exact lens. So I have the ability to tell this camera that I'm using this specific R mount Leica lens, and so it's corrected for it. It just makes this lens sing. You see aspherical lenses everywhere. Fujifilm, Canon, Nikon, everyone basically has aspherical written on the lens, and it's fair enough. You have the ability now to correct a lot of aberrations and focus issues. Have basically a wide open image that's sharp all across the field. We have these amazing 28-70 f2s that are just basically prime lenses. But in a world where all these lenses are so good, some of us want a lens that has more character, and with Leica, there's actually more of a reason to say aspherical or not say aspherical, because these older lenses were pre-aspherical. These were spherical hand-ground lenses where you'd have people in Wetzlar basically in a small room polishing these lenses by hand. And nowadays with aspherical lenses, a lot of these manufacturers, they're glass poured into a plastic mold, and it's a lot cheaper to make it these ways, and it's a lot better in terms of having a sharp, well-corrected image on a flat image sensor. But it's unnatural because it's not the way that we see the world. We have spherical eyes. We basically have spherical eyeball with a spherical lens that's focusing onto a concave retina. And these cameras are now aspherical and focusing onto a flat image plane, and we get a 2D image out of these cameras. I think a lot of the reason why people use lenses like this in cinematography is because you have this ability to create a similar view to what we have in real life, where our fovea is actually only seeing about 2% of our entire field of view, and it's our brain that's piecing it all together. Whereas now you see these perfectly sharp cinema clips and you don't even know where to look. You're looking at the edges and it's perfectly sharp, whereas that's just not how our brain works. And so we have an ability to more replicate what the human brain is actually seeing. And so as a cinematographer or photographer, you can draw that person's attention to wherever you want with these lenses. There's definitely a lot of hype with these cameras. And I think every influencer is now getting a free Hasselblad, and they're switching from this system to another, and everyone's kind of jumping on the bandwagon. And I think there's something to consider in all that, and try to tease apart what's the hype and what's actually good about the product and about the company. I was speaking with Take yesterday, and he was saying how Leica is kind of like a watch brand in a sense, where yeah, it's a luxury item, but it's also a hero item. And what he means by that is, when you think back to when you're a kid opening your Nat Geo book and you'd see, an explorer's watch, and that idea of one day aspiring to own that watch, and then when you actually get to put that on, you felt like an explorer, you felt like a hero. And I think that's a similar experience with shooting with Leica. You have this connection to the photographers who you grew up aspiring to, or you look at, what was their point of view of the world, and a lot of times they're shooting on Leicas. With the Leica Q and so on, with the partnerships with Sigma and Panasonic, you still get something special with these Leica lenses, that it goes beyond what is tangible and what you get from a Sony, a Fujifilm, a Nikon, Canon. Those are better cameras on paper and in practical use, but it's like driving an air-cooled Porsche 911. It's not any faster than a Hyundai, but it's a hell of a lot more fun. And on a Sunday when it's nice out and you're just going to the coffee shop, you're not really racing to get there, and you probably want to enjoy the process of getting there as well. So those are my 2 cents. My Instagram is @fourthdimension.pics. Please feel free to subscribe. Still trying to grow this channel, even though it's been a while, so I appreciate the patience, and I hope you're doing well. Happy holidays and Merry Christmas. Thanks.